In your color fall kit, you will have received these 5 fabrics. This one here is your light background. This one here will be what's stated as the amber background. This one here is your dark rust mini print. This one here is the focus print. And then this one here, the dark rust, will be for the binding. So we will take these fabrics, we're going to give them a nice best pressed first, and then we'll cut them according to the pattern. Okay, so we've subcut our fabrics down according to our pattern. So this light background is going to have 25 2 3/8 inch squares, 2 2-inch squares, and 4 1 3/4 inch squares. And then from our medium background, we're going to have 21 2 3/8 inch squares. From our dark mini print, we're going to have 4 2 3/8 inch squares, and then we're going to have 8 2-inch squares. From our focus print, this is going to be our border, so we're going to cut 2 2.5 by 15.5 inch strips and 2 2.5 by 13.5 inch strips. So that'll be your side borders and then your top and bottom borders. And then for the binding, we have our nice rust print here again. So we're going to cut our binding fabrics into 2 2 1/4 inch strips. Now we'll start piecing. So from our light squares and our medium squares, we're going to need 21 2 3/8 inch squares. So I'm going to take away 4 from this pile because it had 25. So I'm going to take away 4 and put them aside for now. And from our 2 background squares, we are going to make some half square triangles. So we're going to take our light background and we are going to draw a diagonal line with my friction pen from corner to corner, like so. And then I'm going to repeat with all of my light background squares. Now that we've drawn the diagonal line on the backs of all of our light background squares, we're going to take a light background square and a medium background square. We're going to put them right sides together. And then we are going to sew scant 1/4 inch on each side of the drawn diagonal. Now that we've sewn a scant 1/4 inch on both sides of the drawn diagonal line, we are going to take our ruler and a rotary cutter and cut directly on the drawn line to form 2 half square triangles. And now we are going to do that with all 21 squares. So now that we've cut our half square triangles, we are going to separate them into 2 piles, 21 here and 21 here. 21 of these are going to get pressed towards the dark, and 21 of these is going to get pressed towards the light. Okay, and then what we will do is we are going to square these up to 2 inches. Now we'll take the remaining 4 light background squares and 4 rust squares, and we will put them right sides together and sew a scant 1/4 inch seam along both sides of the drawn line. Now that we've sewn the scant 1/4 inch along both sides of the drawn line, we are going to cut on the diagonal drawn line, like so. And you'll repeat that with all 4 pieces. From the 8 half square triangles that you've made, you are going to press 6 of them towards the dark, and you'll press 2 of them towards the light. And then we're going to square them up to 2 inches squared. Now we'll take our 4 1 3/4 inch square light backgrounds, and we are going to, with our iron off pen, draw a diagonal line on all of them. Then we're going to take 2 of our rust squares, and we are going to take a light background. So I'll get into the frame here. And we are going to place this right on the corner like that. And we'll do the same with the other, like so. And now we are going to sew on the drawn line. So again, sew directly on top of that drawn line. Okay, so I've sewn directly on top of that diagonal line. Now it doesn't say this step in the pattern. However, traditionally when you do something like this, you will trim off that 1/4 inch there and then press it open. The pattern's stating just to press this open, but that just leaves it too bulky there, so I'm gonna do my own thing here. Measure 1/4 inch from that sewing line and then just trim off that corner, okay? And then we're gonna press this open. Go to the iron, press that open. And then I'm going to repeat the same process on this side. So again, I'm going to line this up, line this corner right here, and then sew directly on the drawn line. So now I've sewn directly on top of the drawn diagonal line. And again, it's not in the instructions for the pattern, but I am going to trim 1/4 inch away from where I sewed on the line, like so. And then I will press this part here towards the corner. And we'll press that open, and then we'll have 2 stems. So now that we've completed all of our piecing, very slowly and very carefully, utilize your diagram here to lay out all of your little squares. And do make note that the black arrows are going to indicate the squares that you've pressed towards the dark, and the red arrows are going to indicate the squares that you've pressed towards the light. So as you can see here, I've laid everything out, and I'm going to just bring this as it is over to my sewing machine and very slowly and carefully start piecing together all of my rows, all of my squares, pardon me, with a scant 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so now that you finished the top, my original video for the border piecing didn't record, so I'm just going to go over this again here now. You'll take your pieces that you've received in your kit. 2 of them you're going to cut to 2.5 by 15.5. Those then will get sewn onto the sides. So you will sew those onto the sides, and then you're going to press out towards your borders. Then you'll take the next 2 pieces here. Those will be cut to 2.5 by 13.5, and then you'll pin those to the top and bottom of your quilt, and then you will sew those on and then press accordingly. And then press your entire, looks really messy on the back there, but it does indicate to press your quilt with all the seams going up. So give it a final good pressing, and then I'm going to layer this up with some batting and the backing and get it quilted.